Hello YouTube, I'm Toby, and today we're taking a look at my Lenovo T61 Thinkpad. Alright, let's start by taking a look at the outside before we focus on the internals. I'm not sure if you can see this, but this one does show signs of wear and tear. The little corners up here are clearly, well, the coating is clearly rubbed off and the plastic is visible underneath here. Up here we have our battery indicator, our charging indicator, and our sleep indicator. And over here we have our Energy Star sticker. I thought it was kind of weird to put it here, but whoever did it, you probably had a plan about putting it here. Now down here in the right corner we have our ThinkPad logo, and underneath it says T-Series. Now on the front we have our little cover unlock here. We have a mic jack, a headphone jack, and over here we have a little switch to turn our Wi-Fi on and off. Alright, on the right side we have a little slot for expansion cards. We have two USB 2.0 ports, Ethernet and modem, and over here we have a VGA outlet. Also over here we have one of our two exhaust vents. The other exhaust vent is on the back right here. There's only one fan in this whole system cooling it down. I have a video on my channel where I take this thing apart, and if you're interested in seeing that, I'd highly recommend it. Right next to the exhaust vent we have our 20 volt power input. Right here we can see the battery. It's a fairly decent battery, lasts about 1 to 1.5 hours. So it's, for its age, it's pretty decent actually. On the left side we have yet another USB 2.0 port and a DVD CD-ROM drive. Now on the bottom we have a bunch of intake ports for the cooling fan. We have some rubber feet that are in pretty decent condition actually, and we have this little connector for the docking station. Now I do have the docking station for this one, but I figured the video would focus on the computer. Alright, let's open it up. So, that's what it looks like. If we start from the top, you can see this little, there's a little keyboard light here that just, instead of a backlight, it just lights up the keyboard. You'll notice that this computer does not have a webcam. And this is the screen. It's a bit dirty actually, I haven't gotten around to cleaning it up yet. And down here we have our volume controls and our ThinkVantage button. This right here is our power button. The keyboard is actually pretty nice to type on. I have been using this for a little bit just to get a feel for it. And we have our awesome mouse stick right here, or a pointing stick, or whatever it's called. Whatever it's called, I really like it. I wish the more modern computers would have this as well, but I haven't come across any that had it yet. Though some of the new Lenovo models do have it, but yeah, I wish this was on all computers, since it's just so much better than the trackpad. But then again, that's just my personal opinion. Alright, the trackpad on here is very, very small compared to most other computers, but when I tried using this, I found that it wasn't really that much of a problem, because you know, when you have the big touchpads, you generally use just the middle of it anyway, so yeah, the small size doesn't really matter right here. And again we have our ThinkPad logo with the T-Series written underneath it. Now I'm not sure how well this picks up, but we do have two missing stickers right here. One for a Core 2 Duo and one for Windows XP. Because this is running Windows XP. Alright, let's try and turn it on. It's a little slow to start up. Oh, there we go. ThinkPad. Awesome. I'll get right back to you once we've logged into Windows XP. Alright, we're in. Now if you can't see anything, I'm really sorry, but the screen is at maximum brightness right now, and to be honest, that's not that bright. It does get brighter once you plug it into power, but yeah, for right now we'll try and keep it off power just to see if it has enough juice on the battery. Alright, so I just did actually plug it in just to give you guys a chance to see what is actually happening on the display. But right now we're in the system information sheet, and this computer is rocking a Intel Core 2 Duo T6100 model at 1.8 GHz, and it is a dual core CPU, so quite old and not very powerful, but I guess we'll have to manage. Something that bothered me is that this system only supports up to 3 gigs of RAM, because when I got it, it had 2.5 gig, and then I installed another 1.5 gig for a total of 4. But since Windows XP 32-bit edition only supports up to 3 gigs, I've pretty much just wasted money on an entire gig. And when it comes to hard drive capacity, I also upgraded this. When I first got the computer, it had 80 gigs of hard drive space, so I pretty much just put a new hard drive in here for a total of 216 gigabytes. I highly doubt I'll ever get close to using all 200 gigs, but it's just nice to have. With all the hardware and software stuff out of the way, I think it's time we take a look at how useful this thing is in 2017, and if it is even worth buying one of these in 2017. But I've got some tests set up and I'm about to show you those. Alright, so I just started up a Windows Media Player and we're watching Doghouse. And I gotta say the quality is pretty poor. I'm not sure how well it picks up on the, well, for you, but for me it's very gritty, and you can see some of the pixels and a bunch of squares everywhere, so it's not a very enjoyable experience, to say the least. Let's try gaming. Alright, so as you can see, we're currently in Counter-Strike Source, and it is not very playable, to say the least. I mean, it's horrible. Yeah, that was definitely not a success. Alright, let's try watching some YouTube videos. So far it's going pretty well. Let's see, our settings were at 360p. Let's try 480, see how well that goes. Alright, it can still play at 480. Let's bump it up to 720. Well, it seems to be keeping up so far. So far so good. Let's try and bump it up to 1080p. Alright, so we're at 1080p, and the computer definitely can't keep up anymore. You can see the screen is completely frozen. I can't really do much. So 1080p is the limit, it seems. Let's try 720 again just to be sure. Alright, so as it seems, 720 is the maximum resolution for this computer. Still, that's not bad. Definitely could be better, but I'll settle for 720p. Now, when it comes to editing and stuff like that, you're pretty much stuck with the Windows Movie Maker. I believe this is 2.0 or 2.1, I'm not really sure. Not really a professional way to do things, but as a hobbyist, it might actually be just good enough. Alright, so I just took an old 6-minute video, applied a filter to it, and now I'm trying to save it as a new movie file on here, and it's calculating that it'll take about an hour to finish for a 6-minute video clip. That is a pretty slow core. So it's finally done compiling the short film. Let's try and watch it.
Hello YouTube, I'm Toby, and today we're playing around with some improvised...
Quality seems okay.
Now my first attempt...
It's grey because that's the filter I put on it just to make a difference to it. But so far it actually seems to play it quite well. No weird hiccups or anything. Yeah. Well, if we put the time it took aside and take a look at the product we got, it was actually okay. So let's try benchmarking it with Firmark. Alright, so due to this being a 32-bit system and not a 64-bit, I was unable to get Firmark and Cinebench to work. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna wait for the battery to die out, and then I'm gonna let you hear the little warning message, because I found it pretty cool. Alright, so while we wait for the battery to die out, we'll just try some multitasking. I've got Mozilla Firefox loaded up in the background. We'll start a video file, and we go over here and just start typing things, just to see how well it does. And the little video, I don't know if you can see it in the window on the left in the Windows Media Player, it's starting to lag behind. And we're currently at 83% load, which pretty much tells me that this system is pretty bad at multitasking. You're hearing this? This is the critically low battery error warning message. And the computer just shut down. Alright, I think that's enough for now. YouTube, that was the Lenovo T61. Now for my final thoughts on the entire thing. Well, first of all, for usability, everyday usability, I really want to like this computer, but I'll have to say it's just borderline adequate for modern use. I know you saw the 720 pixels on YouTube in high quality. I'm going to have to tell you that this is on a good day it can do that. If you're running on battery power, or you're running multiple multiple things at once, it's not gonna can't handle 720p. Trust me, I tried this off camera, of course, but yeah, I was down to, I think it was 320 pixels when I was running on battery when I tested the computer in everyday use. But for general internet browsing, it's alright, you know, social media, all that. Writing documents, it's fine. Also, when it comes to gaming, it's not very powerful. You saw the Counter-Strike source test, it was basically unplayable. And as for video rendering, it can do it, but it takes quite a while to render video, so I wouldn't barely recommend this to a hobby editor, because it's just so slow. Now I noticed that you can switch the power saving off when you're running on battery. The power saver pretty much just cuts the core clock in half. I think it was down to 700 and something megahertz. But once you switch it off, you can get to 1.8 gigahertz, which is the target clock on the Core 2 Duo processor. So that was my review of the Lenovo T61. If you have any further questions, just ask me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I really hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching.